Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna Regine, and I am the founder and CEO of Brianna Regine Visionary Consulting. We are a strategic communications and marketing agency that is all about helping business owners, creatives, and decision makers thrive with creative strategy services as well as operations management services. And today I'm going to be talking to you about public relations for beginners. I have my notes. I have my mic, little ASMR action, and hopefully you will get some value out of this video and feel empowered and equipped to know that public relations is really important, why you need it for brand growth, and also if you are not able to afford it at this time, I'm gonna drop a little bit of nuggets and information so you can DIY it yourself. Sound good? All right, here we go. So, the first question that I always get asked is, what is public relations? And according to Google, specifically the Public Relations Society of America, public relations is a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationships between organizations and their public. So, in other words, PR is all about creating awareness, or more importantly, shaping the perception of your consumers. And this is really important because if you're not intentionally controlling your narrative, that means that you are leaving consumers to say what they want about your brand, to think what they want about your brand, and to know whatever it is that they come up in their mind about your brand. So that's why PR is really important. And more importantly, public relations is the strategic process to show that your brand is credible. And the credibility comes from third-party platforms. So think about it this way. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but brands need validation. And I know that's kind of, twisted because you're like, I validate myself. I am the truth, Ruth, all of that. And it's true, but you have to play the game in order to win it. And public relations is all about getting that third-party validation from other platforms that are not you. Think about it this way. You have two brands that are about to launch. You're probably more incentivized to invest in the brand that you hear about, that you know about, that you think about, right? Because that brand has more visibility. They are covered by platforms that you trust. And because they're covered by more platforms that you trust, they're seen as more favorable. At least that's the perception anyway. So that's why PR is really important. And more importantly, PR is all about how you actively and intentionally tell your story. And so if you gather anything from this, when people ask you, or if you're looking for public relations, you should be telling people, I'm looking for strategic storytelling. All right? Cool. And what strategic storytelling used to look like, now this is where I really need you guys to pay attention to this part right here, okay? Because strategic storytelling traditionally is earned media, AKA media that is earned. You're not paying for it. You're not coercing anybody to write about it. You're basically pitching your story, and if a media outlet likes it, they cover it. Sometimes if they don't like it, they'll cover it too. They write what they want to write, but at the end of the day, you didn't control what they put out, and therefore, whatever it is that they put out offers third-party credibility, third-party opinion, third-party knowledge that adds some stake in the game for you. Now, I always encourage people that are searching for public relations to think about it from a more holistic point of view. And this is especially true because everybody that is on social media thinks that they can do PR, no shade, no tea, but, but it's the truth. And I want all of you out there to consider public relations in a peso, however you want to say it, model. So the P is for paid. That's the advertising side of things. And advertising is a part of marketing Marketing is substantially different from PR. Marketing is intended to get you sales. PR is meant to get you awareness. Advertising is paid awareness, hence the guarantee that it comes with, okay? E is for earned media, which I touched on a little bit a moment ago. S is for shared media, so that's where your social media stuff comes into play. But let's be clear, social media marketing is marketing intended to get you sales. Just because you're producing content on social media, that's still marketing. The story that you're telling through that content is PR. Are you following? Okay. And then the O in peso is owned media, AKA media that you're in charge of, that belongs to you. So that can be your blog, that can be a podcast. Depending on how intense your media capacity is, it could be the frequency of your newsletters, especially if you make them more story-like versus sales-like. So when you're looking for PR, you want to make sure that you are considering it from a holistic perspective. And notice how, although I said it's different from marketing, you still need marketing. So don't forget that. How can you prep to invest in public relations? Because everybody's like, yeah, I want interviews. Why can't I be on CNN yesterday? I'm trying to get on XXL, News 12, where you at? Let's go. Hey, relax. I want to make sure that I set you guys up for success because there are some non-negotiable things you need to have on hand before you seek a publicist or a PR professional. Sidebar, don't say you're looking for a PR experts, PR specialists, PR professionals, PR practitioners, communication specialists, if you will. PR is public relations, so you can't be looking for a PR, just a nugget of information. When you go into rooms, you want to make sure that you have all your stuff together. Okay, so back to the necessary things that you need to invest in PR. Brand essentials. This may seem like a duh, no kidding, but you'd be surprised how many people look for public relations and they don't have the bare brand essentials. So I'm talking about your logo, your fonts, the colors that you like, if there are particular formats that you prefer, those brand identity qualities, you want to make sure that you have those ready to go and to present to your publicist or the PR agency that you're looking to work with. You also want to make sure that you have some kind of messaging. I'm going to give y'all another nugget of information. I'm going to go off a little bit. Often, business owners, entrepreneurs, they will say, I think I need to invest in marketing. Like I really need to get myself out there and I need to be posting on social media and I need business cards and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you do. But do you know what you're marketing? Don't skip brand development. It is the first step that you should take when you are starting a business. If you are rebranding a business, if you skipped it and just started marketing yourself, make sure you go back and have these brand identity essentials that I referenced before, but also the messaging. What is it that you're trying to say? What's your why? What's your origin story? What's your mission? What's your values? Do you have a bio? What are you gonna tell people? Hello? You have to make sure that you have messaging that your publicist can work with to further develop and make it applicable to the industry that you're really trying to target, and also position you as a unique brand in the industry. Everybody can coexist. That is the truth. It is possible. But what makes you different is your brand story. And so if you don't have your messaging down pat, you're just going to blend in with everybody else and you're not going to get the results that you want. Okay, so make sure you have your brand essentials. The next thing that is important, and I kind of mentioned it before, is you have to have some kind of marketing going on. PR works best when you have marketing systems and strategies in place to complement it. Why am I saying that? Because again, marketing is intended to drive sales. PR is intended to create awareness. All right? So think about it this way. If you are going after, a local news outlet in your town, when people watch that story and they come back and they Google and they're figuring out what's happening on social media, you want to make sure that you're providing even more value to them so that way they stay. That way they click the link in your bio. That way they subscribe to your newsletter. That way they hit the follow button, right? So you have to make sure that your social media presence is active. Make sure that your website works. That's a branding and marketing kind of situation. Make sure that works. Make sure any call to actions that you want people to take work. It's a necessity, because what's going to happen is you're going to get awareness. And then when that traffic comes in, you're not going to convince them to stay. And then it's like, was the investment worth it? And let me tell you about the investment for PR. It's expensive. I'm not even gonna hold you. It's expensive. PR is a luxury service. The starting rate usually starts between, if you're working with the agency, anywhere between like $5,000 a month. Yeah. Some agencies may do only publicity, which is just going after media. Maybe between $3,000 and $5,000 a month. If you're working with just a freelancer, a healthy starting rate is maybe between $1,200, $1,500 a month. It really depends, but you want to make sure that you have enough money allocated for PR, which is why before you invest in PR, you should be doing marketing. See how? Yeah, you see? Because which came first, the chicken or the egg? Right, exactly. Okay, so let's say you're like, Brianna, this all sounds great. This sounds fantastic. You almost had me. You had me in the first half until you told me how much it costs. Okay, I won't leave you stranded. Here are some tips for you to start your own DIY PR for your brand until you get enough capital to be able to invest in it. So, start owned media. Start a blog. Start a podcast. Tell your story in your newsletter. You can even tell your story online. Shared media. Remember I was at that? Social media. You can start telling your own narrative to showcase your value and the experience that you want your consumers to have way before any third-party platform covers you. In fact, you should. Because nowadays, when you have that going for you and then you go seek a PR practitioner, they're going to find that very favorable. It's going to show that you're serious about your business. It's going to show that you don't wait for folks to validate you. It's also going to give them assets to be able to pitch you with, right? Because yes, when it comes to PR, it's also important for you to have a press kit, professional photos, messaging, like I mentioned before. You also want to make sure if you have any videos, like any speaker reels or any reels that are compiled together that kind of give folks a visual representation about what it is that your brand does, you want to make sure that you have that. So those assets, in addition to owned media, where you're writing a blog on like the 5 things that are necessary to bake your most specialty cake, or you have podcast episodes and you're dropping gems every week about why your technological software is better than the top technological softwares according to Forbes. Like whatever it is that you want to say in your own media platform, you should, because your publicist can build off of that. All right. Another tip that you should know for DIY PR is pitch yourself to local platforms. Everybody wants to be on the biggest platforms ever. And then I asked them, hey, well, have you been covered before? No, I haven't. I've been covered by my mom. Okay, well, that's not going to be enough. I don't think that Vogue is going to care about your mom's perception of you. So I always say the small buzz creates the boom. And besides, show your local platforms love. Go to your local news radio stations. Go to your local radio stations, your local bloggers in town, your local podcasters. What they have to say about your brand is still third-party validation. And it gives you more stake in the game, again, to go to your publicist, the one that you're looking for, and be like, hey, I have assets. I have assets of my own, and I have some third-party, opinions, some third-party thoughts in these publications. It just helps us help you. And then the last thing, and I just want to reiterate, it's sort of like a tactic when it comes to pitching. So pitching is all about aligning your brand value with the value of the platform's audience that you're going after. Okay? So you want to make sure that you keep it short and to the point. Listen. When you're sending emails, no one, unless your story is like a book that you can't put down, don't send 500 paragraphs. It's going to go in the junk. Trash. They're not going to read it. Okay? Get really good at saying your elevator pitch and making it relevant to whatever the journalist covers. Every journalist doesn't cover the same story. So if you are a tech brand, guess what you should be looking for? Journalists that talk about tech. Right? Or maybe not necessarily that explicit. Sometimes local TV stations will have like Entrepreneur Week, or they will pick up like if Apple does something crazy or they have big news, right? If you can insert yourself as an expert in tech in your local town and you have software that's tech, now you got a story. Right? So you want to make sure that you are aligning your value and having it make sense and having it be not clickbaitish, but incentivizing enough and sort of like a no-brainer for the journalist, the producer, the podcaster host to pick it up for you. Okay? And don't worry, you can include your press kit. In fact, you should. Any video assets that you have, any professional photos that you have, infographics, whatever assets you have, but include them as hyperlinks. Hyperlinks. Do not put a long link in your email. That's ugly. No one wants to see that. Hyperlinks, okay? I use hyperlinks all the time. That saves you for two reasons. One, it shortens the perception of how long the email is. Two, crap, Brandon, I have to remember my number two. Oh, two, it avoids your email going to spam because sometimes servers don't recognize email addresses. Like they're super security, you won't get through. But with a hyperlink, you're avoiding sending attachments, and attachments usually trigger off the spam. So that's why you should use links. Okay, so that was a bit of information. If you'd like to learn more about public relations, how it works, why you need it, tactics that you can use, I have a variety of free content on BRVC's, aka Brianna Regine Visionary Consulting's website. We have a blog, we have a podcast. Our social media also has content. So if you don't like reading and you don't like listening, but you like seeing my face and hearing me talk, yeah. That's on Instagram. You can go check out our Instagram videos. And all of our social media platforms are on www.brvisionaryconsulting.com. Again, that's www.brvisionaryconsulting.com. Our blog, our podcast, and all social media handles are on our website. And yeah. That's it. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps. And know that PR is important.